How's it going, everyone? I hope you're all doing well. In this video, I want to show you guys a deadly synergy between Ivara and Saryn. This is going to allow you to deal with extremely high level enemies very quickly. So to test this out, I actually went into Hydron with 3 other people, and we managed to make it to 100 waves. That's just a nice stopping point that we decided to go to, and also someone had to leave. But in the end, they were around level 1700 or so, and we were still killing them extremely fast. We all did happen to be running corrosive projection, so I mean that always helps versus Grenier, because now they're totally unarmored. Essentially, the team comp was Ivara, Saryn, a second Ivara, and a Rhino. The Rhino's job was just to buff everybody. The Saryn was there for the damage. The Ivara, well, we had 2 Ivaras. The first Ivara was there for Navigator and Zenith, and the second Ivara was to make the pod invisible. Now, this works on Hydron. You can actually make the pod invisible. Enemies won't physically attack it because it's considered to be a... It kind of works the same way as like whenever you do a sortie and you can actually make the little dude invisible that you're protecting. Since the pods are moving around, I guess the game considers it to be the same kind of thing. So yeah, you can make the pod invisible, which is a little bit broken. And definitely should be fixed on some of these objectives because you can cheese it really hard. But essentially, the second Ivara was just there to make everybody invisible, and the pod invisible as well. But the craziest thing about this build is just this sheer amount of multipliers stacking on top of one another. Like, just for example, we got the Rhino there. He's going to be triple dipping with my gas damage from the Zenith. So at base, he's giving me 150% multiplier, which is equal to 2.5 times multiplier. 2.5 to the power of 3, because it's triple dipping 3 times. That's a 15.62 times multiplier. Now, that's additive with the bonus with the faction mod that I had on, which is damage to Grenier, which grants a bonus like extra 30% or whatever. So that's 2.8 to the power of 3, which is 21.95. So already we're at almost a 22 times multiplier before we factor in any other damage, just from the Rhino giving us 22 times damage, right? Now, we add in the stealth damage multiplier, which is times 8, and I'm getting 10 times damage from Navigator, so that's 80 times damage right there. Also, since I have the Zenith above their heads, it's going to be hitting headshots, and the headshots will deal double damage. It'll double dip into the gas damage, so it's like a weak point modifier. Basically, your headshots do double damage, and then the gas ticks from that will actually dip again. Now, all this together, the 22 times multiplier, the 10, the 8, and the 4, that'll give you a 7,024 times multiplier. Now, keep in mind, this isn't even including Saryn's buff, because she'll give me extra toxin damage with her spores augment, and it's also not including Rhino buffing Saryn's spores damage, right? So this is dipping just so many times together with one another, it just makes the damage absolutely ridiculous. In fact, on multiple occasions, False Prophet, who happened to be our Saryn during the run, said that he was actually hitting the damage cap, which is 2.147 billion damage. Now, that's pretty ridiculous, and it gets even more ridiculous if you're not fighting Grenier. For example, if you're fighting a faction that's unarmored, like Corpus or Infested, you can run times 4 growing power, and that'll give you 100% extra power strength for all of the frames, and when you do that, the multipliers get so ridiculous. It is absolutely insane, just the numbers that you'll get, right? You'll be hitting pretty much the damage cap on every single tick of spore damage. Anyways, the reason why we're able to do this, or just why this works, is all in the mechanics of how spores actually work, right? Spore's initial or base damage, right? It's not actually all that high. You can only kill about up to level 50s with it, so it's great for like clearing like 10 waves of Hydron or whatever, but it's not going to be an endgame ability. It's not going to go all that far. The reason why you can actually kill like stupid high level enemies with spores is all down to how it synergizes really well with toxin DOT procs. Essentially, what happens is when you have a cast spores on an enemy and you deal like a toxin proc to that enemy, it will take that toxin DOT damage that you've dealt, and then it will apply it to all the other enemies in range that have also been spored. So it'll also apply a multiplier to this as well, right? So it just keeps stacking the damage, and if you have like insane toxin damage initially, you're going to have insane spore damage afterwards, right? So I'm going to quickly go over both the Ivara and the Saryn and the Zenith builds. I'm going to ignore the Rhino build because I'm assuming most of you guys already know how to build a Rhino, but I'll go into that super quick. So here's the Ivara build that I happen to be using for the run. Obviously, I'm running Corrosive Projection as the ore, just to strip all the enemy armor. You don't have to run that when you're not fighting Grenier or Corrupted. I suggest either enemy radar or actually Growing Power. Yeah, just run Growing Power on there. Now, around my build, you want to focus as much on power strength and efficiency as you can, and you don't want positive duration. You actually want negative duration so that you can build up the ramp up on Navigator as fast as possible. So when you put positive duration on there, it actually increases the amount of time it takes for you to get to your maximum multiplier. So you want to decrease that as much as possible. Now, if you have too low of duration, it'll actually screw with your efficiency. So I just run 190% efficiency. It only shows 175, but you can actually get up to 190 with channeled abilities. So I just run a max fleeting expertise and streamline on there, and then that'll get me all set. I'll have my minimum drain, which I believe is like 1.75 energy per second or whatever it is on Navigator. Basically, as long as you got the minimum amount of drain and you got negative duration on there, then you're pretty much all set. Now, the other thing I built for is strength. You want to have as much strength on there as you can possibly have without affecting the efficiency all that much. Prime Flow is also really useful. You definitely want to have that on there. As far as her augment, which is Piercing Navigator, essentially what that does, it'll give basically any weapon you have that you use Navigator with an additive 50% crit chance. So with the Zenith, since it is 5% at base, it's going to be just 5 plus 50, which gives you a 55% crit chance, which is a huge boost. Now, one thing during the run is it didn't really seem to be working. However, it was working in a regular public survival that I happen to be doing. So if it is working for you, then run it. If it's not working for you, then I suggest just running more power strength on there. Same kind of goes for quick thinking. I didn't really need to have this mod on. It's just for a little bit extra survivability. But if you don't want to have it on, you don't have to. Instead of running quick thinking, I just run even more power strength on there. So here's the Zenith build that I happen to be using for the run. Obviously just Prime Fever Strike, Prime Fury, Prime Reach, Prime Pressure Point, all the kind of basic Prime mods that you have on there for a gas build for Zenith. Only two interesting mods are Organ Chatter and Smite Grenier. Organ Chatter is only on there if your Piercing Navigator augment is working. If it's not working, then I just run Spoiled Strike on there. And Smite Grenier is interesting because it actually triple dips and it's additive with Rhino, so that's also pretty cool. But that's pretty much just the build for the Zenith. You can run even more, another 90% element on there if you want to switch out Organ Chatter if you like. Moving on over to the Saryn build though, this is essentially just what False Prophet had to be running, and this is pretty much just a basic spore build. All you want to focus on is strength and range. You want to have a little bit of efficiency on there, unless you got like an EV Trinity or squad or some way to restore energy, and then you also want to have a little bit of duration for your molt. Now, this is a pretty basic build. The only thing that I would change on here or just move around is either if you're fighting unarmored enemies, then you don't need Growing Power on there. I mean, you would run Growing Power as opposed to Corrosive Projection. Sorry, I misspoke. But the other thing is that Vitality isn't really all that necessary, obviously, if you're going for an endurance run, so I just switch that out for probably either Power Drift, or if you have Augur Secrets, that gives you more strength, I just do one of those. So just more power strength, essentially, is what you want here, and that is the only switch out for the build. Obviously, it's just maximum range and maximum strength and a little bit of efficiency and duration, and there you go, you're all set for Saryn. So moving back over to the gameplay now, I'm just going to have it run all the way from wave 97 up to wave 100, and you can watch just our last couple waves that we did here. But I do want to talk about something that could be happening on Saturday. I'm sure that some of you already know that I did a run with Life of Rio last Saturday when we tried to go and beat Smash Lee's and Daniel the Demon's run with two other guys. I think it was Shull and Tiger Stripe. When they did that, Kuva Survival World Record, I think I did a little bit over 8 hours. We were not as fortunate, and they did beat us. We only got to like 6.5 hours or something around there. But we're going to be trying it again on Saturday, I believe. And if you guys want to tune in, please feel free to drop in. It's going to be streaming on Life of Real stream because I do not have a proper stream set up yet. But stay tuned as I wish to get one, and I hopefully will get one soon. Until then, though, any runs that I do with him, they're just going to be on his stream, and I'll probably upload any highlights to YouTube if we actually do well. However, the 6.5 hour run that we did, it kind of sucked, if I'm being honest. So I'm not gonna go into that, and we kind of messed up. But that was on all us. So GG to the other guys because they won. However, we're not going to let it in on that. They might have won the battle, but certainly haven't won the war. Anyways, guys, I want to thank you for watching the video. I'm gonna leave you with the last 2 or so waves of gameplay here. And I hope that the microphone quality in this video was quite a bit better than the other ones that I had made previously, because I'm now using Adobe Premiere to edit as opposed to Share Factory on PS4, which, if I'm being honest, Share Factory is a pretty subpar editing software, but it's what I'm used to, so I'm still trying to learn Adobe here step by step. If you want to join and talk to me on Discord and give me video suggestions or just other things you want to see in the future, please join my Discord. The link is going to be in the description below. Or if you want to check out my Twitch channel, it'll also be down there. Obviously, I don't really have much content on there, and I'm not really streaming yet, so more of that to come. But again, I'd like to thank you guys for watching the video, and I hope to see you in the next one.